before the convention. During the long Sunday he spent with Lucy on the road and at the presidential retreat, Franklin had to have also thought about, and perhaps even discussed with Lucy, whether he was strong enough health-wise to take on another term. According to a jaw-dropping memo that was suppressed until 2007, FDR had been informed by his personal physician just a day earlier that due to heart failure, he would be unable to complete a full 4-year term and that he had a very serious responsibility concerning who is the vice president. Thus, having decided on Friday to make public that he would run again, and been told by his doctor on Saturday that he would die in office if he did, the president on Sunday must have been weighing his odds of living against his desire to remain wartime commander-in-chief. Whether he gave any thought that day as to who would be his vice president will never be known. Though there is no record of what Franklin and Lucy actually discussed during the time they were together at Shangri-La, it is reasonable to surmise, as some historians have, that it was Lucy who validated Roosevelt's rash decision to launch his final campaign, even though she too feared that he might not survive a 4th term. A few minutes after 11 a.m. on Tuesday, July 11th, before a crowd of some 200 reporters in the White House, President Roosevelt began reading aloud a letter from him to Bob Hannigan. The letter was his somewhat presumptuous official announcement to the Democratic National Committee that, if nominated, he would reluctantly, but as a good soldier, accept and serve in the office if I am so ordered by the Commander-in-Chief of us all, the sovereign people of the United States. While speaking, his hands shook so much that he could not light his cigarette. There was no hint of who his running mate might be. In St. Louis, at roughly the same time, Harry Truman, like so many ordinary Americans during wartime rationing, was worried about the condition of his automobile tires. He needed to get home to Independence to pick up summer suits to wear at the convention, but all 4 tires were in terrible condition after the 840-mile drive on old 2-lane US 40 from Washington. However, as Harry wrote in a letter to his wife, Bess, he eventually located a tire man who, with some maneuvering, skirted the rationing restrictions to get him 1 new tire and 4 Goodyear puncture-proof tubes that had recently been exempted from the ration regulations. The senator, who by that time had befriended the tire man, invited him to have lunch with him and several of his St. Louis political cronies at the Coronado, an Art Deco hotel built in the 1920s that is in operation today. In his letter to Bess, Truman wrote, "You'd have thought I was making the tire man a knight of the garter. It pleased him so much." This was vintage Harry Truman, a man of the people. The lives of the world-famous president who was told he would not survive but ran anyway, and the obscure senator who claimed he did not want to run as his vice president, would soon intersect. This is a riveting slice of history in and of itself. However, it is the final months of Franklin Roosevelt's presidency, the unsteady transition of power to Harry Truman, and the liberation of tens of millions of people who survived the carnage of World War II that form the core of this book. It is a story of death and rebirth. After 82 days as Roosevelt's VP, Truman began his accidental presidency utterly unprepared. FDR made no effort to bring him up to speed on current foreign relations and domestic issues, nor did Truman insist on being informed by FDR or his staff. As vice president, Truman did not try to recruit experienced advisers or initiate a relationship with an outside foreign policy expert. As to Roosevelt's plans for the future, all Truman inherited was the unrealistic hope that he could achieve lasting peace by perpetuating his predecessor's apparent policy of cooperation and accommodation with the Soviet Union. If FDR actually